The plane was still on the ground, yet 55 people were already doomed. August 22, 1985, Manchester Airport. British Airtours Flight 28M, a Boeing 737-236, stood poised for its journey to Corfu, Greece. A routine holiday flight packed with excited passengers. But this wasn't to be a routine day, not even close. The inferno that erupted before takeoff would etch itself into aviation history, forcing a global reevaluation of fire safety. Captain Peter Tarrington and First Officer Brian Love were in the cockpit, preparing for departure. In the cabin, flight attendants were conducting final checks. The twin-engine jet, registered GBGJL, had 131 passengers and 6 crew on board. A full flight, eager for sun-drenched beaches. At 7:13 a.m., as the aircraft accelerated down runway 24 for takeoff, a sudden alarming thump reverberated through the cabin. Passengers, particularly those on the left side, reported seeing flames erupting from the left engine. The crew immediately aborted takeoff, bringing the aircraft to a halt. The situation escalated with terrifying speed. Less than 20 seconds after the thump, fire began to breach the aircraft fuselage. The left wing, already compromised, was now a fuel source. The crew, however, initially believed the fire was contained to the engine, unaware of the rapid internal spread. Captain Tarrington made the critical decision to turn the aircraft off the runway onto a taxiway, positioning the nose into a slight headwind. This was an attempt to push smoke and flames away from the fuselage, a standard procedure. But the fire was no longer standard. Inside, panic was beginning to set in. Flight attendant Joanna Toff was among the first to notice the smoke entering the cabin. Her immediate actions, along with her colleagues, were crucial in the unfolding chaos. They were trained for emergencies, but nothing truly prepares you for this. The primary issue was the left engine's high-pressure compressor casing, which had ruptured. This failure ejected burning fuel and debris, which then pierced the wing's fuel tank. A cascade of catastrophic events, all within seconds. The fuel, now ignited, sprayed onto the hot exhaust and then directly into the fuselage through a breach near the floor level. This wasn't just an external fire. It was a fire eating its way into the cabin itself, where people were trapped. The captain ordered evacuation. The crew deployed the escape slides. However, the inferno outside the left side of the aircraft meant those slides were unusable. Passengers attempting to exit via the left side were met with a wall of flame and searing heat. This immediately funneled everyone to the right side, creating a bottleneck. Imagine 137 people trying to get out through a handful of exits. While smoke rapidly fills the confined space, visibility drops to zero, and the heat becomes unbearable. The fire spread internally at an alarming rate, fueled by the aircraft's flammable interior materials. Seat cushions, wall panels, overhead bins, all became kindling. This was a critical design flaw, overlooked for years, now laid bare in the most horrific way. Toxic smoke, laden with cyanide and carbon monoxide, was the silent killer. Passengers who initially survived the flames quickly succumbed to smoke inhalation. The air became unbreathable, vision impossible. The exits, even when clear, were now unreachable. The emergency services at Manchester Airport responded swiftly, but the sheer scale of the fire, combined with the difficulty of reaching the breach point, made their task incredibly challenging. Every second counted, and every second was a struggle. Of the 137 people on board, 55 perished. All but 2 of them died from smoke inhalation, not the fire itself. The victims were largely concentrated in the forward section of the cabin, closest to the primary breach and the unusable left exits. The accident investigation, led by the Air Accidents Investigation Branch, ARIB, was extensive. Their findings were stark, revealing systemic vulnerabilities in aircraft design and evacuation procedures. This wasn't just a mechanical failure, it was a safety architecture failure. The ARIB report highlighted critical issues: the flammability of cabin materials, the lack of floor-level emergency lighting, and the efficacy of fire-assistant barriers. These weren't new concerns, but 28M brought them into devastating focus. One of the most significant changes mandated globally after Flight 28M was the requirement for all aircraft cabin interiors to use fire-assistant materials. The goal was to buy precious minutes, to slow the spread of fire and toxic smoke, giving passengers more time to evacuate. Another crucial change was the installation of floor-level lighting, guiding passengers through smoke-filled cabins to the nearest exit. In a low-visibility environment, where overhead lights are obscured, These simple strips of light could mean the difference between life and death. The design of emergency exits and their surrounding areas also came under scrutiny. Obstructions, narrow aisles, and poorly designed slide deployment mechanisms were all addressed. The focus shifted to optimizing the flow of people, even under extreme duress. The lessons of British Airtours 28M were expensive, paid for in human lives, but they were learned. The aviation industry, often criticized for its slow pace of change, responded with a fervor that transformed fire safety standards across the globe. Today, when you board an aircraft, the fire-assistant seats, the floor-level lighting, the clear exit paths all are direct descendants of that tragic day in Manchester. The legacy of Flight 28M isn't just a story of disaster. It's a testament to how tragedy can forge progress, how lessons, no matter how painful, can save countless future lives. The crew's bravery, the first responders' efforts, and the meticulous work of investigators turned an unspeakable horror into a catalyst for profound, life-saving reforms. It's a somber reminder that safety in the skies is a constant, evolving endeavor, often etched in the crucible of past failures. Next, we'll explore the untold story of a mid-air collision, avoided by sheer instinct.